The universe doesn't come with an instruction manual. It's vast, ancient, and full of surprises. Some beautiful, some terrifying, and some downright bizarre. Every star, every planet, every strange phenomenon out there tells a story we're only just beginning to understand. Tonight, we'll uncover some of the strangest and most fascinating facts about space secrets that will forever change the way you look at the cosmos. Buckle up, because the universe is weirder than you think. Neptune's winds are the fastest in the solar system. These winds can reach speeds of up to 2,400 kilometers per hour or 1,500 miles per hour, which is faster than the speed of sound on Earth. We can't see the majority of the universe. About 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter and dark energy, which are invisible and cannot be directly observed. Scientists only infer their existence from their gravitational effects on visible matter. The smell of space is reportedly like seared steak or hot metal. Astronauts returning from spacewalks have reported a distinct odor on their suits. The smell is thought to come from polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are found in burning fossil fuels, charcoal, and food. The first American food eaten on the moon was beef and vegetables. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin ate beef and vegetables, along with fruit strips and pineapple grapefruit juice, for their first meal on the lunar surface. The sun is actually white, not yellow. From space, the sun appears white. It looks yellow to us on Earth because our atmosphere scatters the blue and violet light more effectively, leaving the remaining colors to appear yellowish. There's a planet where it rains glass sideways, on exoplanet HD 189733b. Scientists have detected silicate particles in its atmosphere. Combined with winds of up to 8,700 kilometers per h or 5,400 miles per hour, this would create a storm of horizontal razor-sharp glass rain. The Apollo astronauts' spacesuits were made by a bra manufacturer. The company Playtex, known for making bras and girdles, won the contract to design and build the spacesuits for the Apollo missions because of their expertise in creating flexible garments. The star Earendel is the most distant individual star ever seen, detected by the James Webb Space Telescope. Its light has taken 12.9 billion years to reach us. We can see it only because its light was magnified by a massive galaxy cluster, a phenomenon called gravitational lensing. Jupiter's moon Io has over 400 active volcanoes. Io is the most geologically active object in the solar system. Its volcanic activity is a result of intense tidal heating from Jupiter's immense gravity. The universe could end in a big rip. One theory of the universe's fate is that dark energy could become so strong it would overcome gravity, tearing apart galaxies, stars, planets, and eventually atoms themselves. Mars has blue sunsets, while its sky is a pale pinkish red during the day. The sunsets on Mars can appear blue. The fine dust in the Martian atmosphere scatters red light forward, so the light directly from the setting sun appears more blue. The largest known galaxy is 100 times wider than the Milky Way. IC 1101 is a supergiant elliptical galaxy that is over 5.5 million light-years in diameter. It's so large that our Milky Way could fit inside it many times over. Astronauts grow taller in space. In the microgravity environment, the cartilage discs between the vertebrae in the spine expand. Astronauts can gain up to 3% of their height, but this is lost upon returning to Earth. The first animal in orbit was a dog named Laika. The Soviet Union launched Laika aboard the Sputnik 2 spacecraft in 1957. Sadly, it was a one-way trip, as the technology for a return journey had not yet been developed. There is an intergalactic speed limit, the speed of light in a vacuum, approximately 299,792 kilometers per second, or 186,282 miles per second, is the ultimate speed limit in the universe. Nothing with mass can reach it. The constellation Ophiuchus is the 13th zodiac sign. The sun actually passes through the constellation of Ophiuchus after Scorpius and before Sagittarius. Ancient astrologers chose to stick with 12 signs to divide the year neatly. The largest body of water in the universe is a cloud of water vapor located around a quasar 12 billion light-years away. This massive reservoir of water vapor contains at least 140 trillion times the amount of water in all of Earth's oceans. There's a zombie star that survived a supernova. A white dwarf star in a binary system siphoned off so much matter from its companion that it exploded, but it somehow managed to survive the blast. Scientists nicknamed it a zombie star. The Earth is not a perfect sphere. Due to its rotation, the Earth bulges at the equator and is slightly flattened at the poles, making it an oblate spheroid. The International Space Station, or ISS, travels at 28,000 kilometers per h, or 17,500 miles per hour. The ISS orbits the Earth approximately every 90 minutes. This means the astronauts on board see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day. The black hole's gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. The boundary beyond which escape is impossible is called the event horizon. Once anything crosses this boundary, it is pulled into the singularity at the center. The moon has moonquakes. These are caused by the tidal stresses of Earth's gravity and the cooling of the moon's interior. They are much weaker than earthquakes, but can last for much longer. Halley's Comet will next be visible from Earth in 2061. This famous comet is a periodic comet and returns to Earth's vicinity about every 75 years. It was last seen in our skies in 1986. The word astronaut comes from Greek words meaning star sailor. Astro means star and naut means sailor. Similarly, a cosmonaut, the Russian equivalent, means cosmos sailor. The star Betelgeuse could go supernova at any time. This red supergiant in the constellation Orion is nearing the end of its life. When it explodes, it will be visible from Earth even during the daytime. Pluto has a heart on its surface. Images from the New Horizons spacecraft revealed a large heart-shaped glacier made of nitrogen and methane ice. It's officially named Tumba Regio. The light from the Andromeda Galaxy has taken 2.5 million years to reach us. When you look at the Andromeda Galaxy, the light you see left that galaxy when early human ancestors were roaming the Earth. You are literally looking into the past. The Earth has a second, mini-moon, objects known as quasi-satellites. Like the asteroid Kamosipo-Lawa, orbit the Sun but stay close to Earth. They are not true moons, but they follow a complex orbital path around our planet. The first black hole ever discovered is named Cygnus X1. It was identified in the 1960s through its X-ray emissions, which are generated as it pulls matter from a nearby companion star. A super-Earth is a planet larger than Earth, but smaller than Neptune. These exoplanets are common in our galaxy, but our solar system doesn't have one. They can be rocky, gaseous, or a combination of both. The coldest known place in the universe is the Boomerang Nebula, located 5,000 light-years away. The Boomerang Nebula has a temperature of -272 degrees Celsius, or -458 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just 1 degree Celsius above absolute zero. The Sun loses about 4 million tons of mass every second. This mass is converted into energy through nuclear fusion in its core, which is what makes the Sun shine. This is a tiny fraction of its total mass. The pillars of creation are incubators for new stars. These columns of interstellar gas and dust in the Eagle Nebula are slowly being eroded by the intense radiation from a nearby cluster of young, massive stars. There are rogue planets that wander through space without a star. These planets were likely ejected from their original solar systems. The Milky Way may contain billions or even trillions of these free-floating worlds. The first American woman in space was Sally Ride. She flew aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1983. She remains the youngest American astronaut to have traveled to space, having done so at the age of 32. The moon's gravity creates the Earth's ocean tides. The gravitational pull of the moon causes the water in the Earth's oceans to bulge out on the side closest to the moon and the side farthest from the moon. Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, has geysers that spew water ice into space. The Cassini spacecraft found these plumes contain water, ice particles, salt, and organic compounds, making Enceladus a prime candidate for harboring extraterrestrial life. The WOW signal was a strong radio signal detected in 1977 that may have been extraterrestrial. It bore the expected hallmarks of a potential non-terrestrial origin, but it was never detected again. An astronomer wrote WOW on the data printout, giving the signal its name. The center of the Milky Way may smell like raspberries and rum. This is due to the presence of a chemical called ethyl formate. This compound gives raspberries their flavor and is also known to smell of rum. The universe is expanding at an accelerating rate. Observations of distant supernovae revealed that the expansion is speeding up. This acceleration is attributed to a mysterious force called dark energy. The largest asteroid in the solar system, Ceres, is also a dwarf planet. Located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Ceres is about 940 kilometers or 585 miles in diameter. The first selfie in space was taken by Buzz Aldrin in 1966. During the Gemini 12 mission, Aldrin turned a camera on himself while conducting a spacewalk, capturing the first ever space selfie with the Earth as a backdrop. Jupiter has faint rings. Unlike Saturn's prominent ice rings, Jupiter's rings are very faint and are composed mostly of dust kicked up from its inner moons. Mars has two tiny moons named Phobos and Deimos. These moons are likely captured asteroids and are shaped like potatoes. Their names mean fear and dread in Greek. The term black hole was coined in 1967. Physicist John Archibald Wheeler is credited with coining the term. Before that, they were referred to as gravitationally completely collapsed objects. Some stars, called pulsars, spin hundreds of times per second. Pulsars are highly magnetized, rotating neutron stars that emit beams of electromagnetic radiation. We observe a pulse signal as these beams sweep past Earth. The Apollo 10 mission was a dress rehearsal for the moon landing. The crew flew the lunar module, nicknamed Snoopy, to within 9 miles of the moon's surface before returning to the command module, Charlie Brown. The first privately funded crewed spaceflight was Spaceship One in 2004. Designed by Burt Rutan and financed by Paul Allen, Spaceship One won the $10 million Ansari X Prize for reaching space twice within 2 weeks. The Great White Spot is a massive storm that erupts on Saturn every 30 years. The 2010 to 2011 storm was so large it encircled the entire planet. The persistent remnants of these storms are sometimes called the Roaring 40. The farthest we can see into the universe is the cosmic microwave background. This faint glow of radiation is the leftover heat from the Big Bang. It is the earliest light we can detect, from about 380,000 years after the universe began. The first living creatures intentionally sent to space and returned alive were fruit flies. In 1947, the US launched fruit flies aboard a V-2 rocket to study the effects of radiation exposure at high altitudes. The flies were recovered alive. The planet Uranus was originally named George's star. Its discoverer, William Herschel, wanted to name it Georgium Sidus after his patron, King George III. The name Uranus from Greek mythology was later adopted. There are superpuff planets with the density of cotton candy. Exoplanets, like Kepler 51b, c, and d, are Jupiter-sized, but have less than 1% of Jupiter's mass. Their extremely low density is a mystery to astronomers. The largest structure in the universe is the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. It's a massive galactic filament, a vast cluster of galaxies bound by gravity that measures approximately 10 billion light-years across. The Sun rotates faster at its equator than at its poles. Because it's a ball of gas, it experiences differential rotation. The equator takes about 25 days to rotate, while the poles take about 35 days. The Earth's magnetic field protects us from the solar wind. This stream of charged particles from the Sun would otherwise strip away our atmosphere, including the ozone layer. There are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth. There are an estimated 100 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and there are estimated to be over 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. The Great Attractor is a gravitational anomaly pulling our galaxy towards it. Located about 220 million light-years away, the Great Attractor is a region of space with a massive concentration of mass equivalent to tens of thousands of galaxies. The first meal eaten in space was meat paste in a tube. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space in 1961, consumed beef and liver paste from a tube, followed by a dessert of applesauce. The James Webb Space Telescope's mirror is coated in gold. A microscopically thin layer of gold coats the telescope's 18 mirrors because gold is highly reflective of infrared light, which the telescope is designed to observe. The moon is in synchronous rotation with Earth. This means it rotates on its axis at the same rate that it revolves around the Earth. As a result, we always see the same face of the moon. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs created a crater 180 kilometers or 110 miles wide. The Chicxulub crater is buried underneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact led to a mass extinction that wiped out about 75% of species on Earth. The first song played in space was Jingle Bells. In 1965, astronauts Wally Schirra and Tom Stafford on Gemini 6 played a prank on Mission Control, playing the song on a smuggled harmonica and sleigh bells. The space roar is an unexplained loud radio signal from deep space. Detected in 2006, this mysterious radio noise is about 6 times louder than expected cosmic background noise. Its origin remains a mystery. Jupiter's moon Europa may have a subsurface ocean with more water than Earth. Evidence suggests a salty liquid water ocean exists beneath Europa's icy crust. This ocean could potentially harbor life. The first color photo of Earth from space was taken in 1967. The Dodge satellite captured the first full-disk color image of our planet, dating the more famous blue marble photo from Apollo 17. The star Mira has a tail 13 light-years long. This old dying star is speeding through our galaxy so fast that it's shedding a massive tail of gas and dust behind it, visible only in ultraviolet light. The ISS has a permanent population of microbes. Just like any human habitat, the International Space Station has its own unique microbiome, consisting of bacteria and fungi that live on surfaces and on the astronauts. Pluto's atmosphere can freeze and fall to the surface as snow because of its highly elliptical orbit. When Pluto gets farther from the Sun, its thin nitrogen atmosphere can collapse onto the surface before reforming as Pluto moves closer again. Astronauts use a lot of Velcro. In microgravity, simple tasks like putting down a tool are impossible. Patches of Velcro are placed all over the station and on equipment to hold items in place. The North Star, Polaris, won't always be the North Star due to a wobble in Earth's axis called precession. Our pole star changes over a 26,000-year cycle. In about 13,000 years, the star Vega will be the North Star. The sundog is a bright spot that can appear next to the sun, also called a mock sun or parhelion. It's an atmospheric optical phenomenon caused by the refraction of sunlight by ice crystals in the atmosphere. The first hotel in space is planned to open before 2030. Companies like Orbital Assembly Corporation are developing concepts for space stations with tourist accommodations, offering low-gravity experiences. Saturn's moon Titan has a thick atmosphere and liquid methane lakes. Titan is the only moon in our solar system with a dense atmosphere and the only celestial body besides Earth with clear evidence of stable bodies of surface liquid. The word comet comes from a Greek word meaning long-haired. Ancient observers thought comets looked like stars with long flowing hair, which we now know is the comet's tail of dust and gas. The first space tourist was Dennis Tito in 2001. The American millionaire paid a reported $20 million to spend nearly 8 days aboard the International Space Station. The pale blue dot is a famous photograph of Earth taken by Voyager 1. In 1990, at the request of Carl Sagan, Voyager 1 took a photo of Earth from 6 billion kilometers or 3.7 billion miles away, showing our planet as a tiny speck of light. Mercury has a surprisingly strong magnetic field for its size. Despite its small size and slow rotation, Mercury has a global magnetic field, though it is only about 1% as strong as Earth's. Astronauts' bones and muscles weaken in space. Without the constant pull of gravity, bone and muscle mass deteriorates. Astronauts must exercise for about 2 hours every day on the ISS to mitigate these effects. The Oumuamua object was the first observed interstellar visitor. Detected in 2017, this cigar-shaped object passed through our solar system on a trajectory that indicated it came from another star system. The first image of a black hole was captured in 2019. The Event Horizon Telescope produced the first ever direct visual evidence of a supermassive black hole and its shadow in the center of galaxy M87. There is a giant void in space that is unusually empty of galaxies. The Boötes void, also called the Great Nothing, is a roughly spherical region of space about 330 million light-years in diameter that contains very few galaxies. The first successful Mars landing was by the Viking 1 lander in 1976. It was the first spacecraft to successfully land on Mars and complete its mission, sending back the first images from the Martian surface. The Apollo 1 crew tragically died in a fire on the launch pad. During a rehearsal in 1967, a fire broke out in the command module, killing astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. the disaster led to major safety improvements. The Sun will eventually become a white dwarf. In about 5 billion years, after exhausting its fuel, the Sun will expand into a red giant before collapsing into a dense, hot white dwarf star about the size of Earth. Its cosmic rays are not rays, but high-energy particles. These particles, mostly protons and atomic nuclei, travel through space at nearly the speed of light. Their origins are thought to be from supernovae and other violent cosmic events. The first object to reach the surface of the Moon was the Soviet Luna 2 spacecraft. It intentionally crash-landed on the Moon in 1959, becoming the first human-made object to make contact with another celestial body. A solar flare can release the energy of millions of hydrogen bombs. These sudden, intense bursts of radiation are caused by the release of magnetic energy from the Sun's surface. The three-body problem is a famous puzzle in physics. It describes the problem of predicting the movements of three celestial objects that are gravitationally interacting. There is no general closed-form solution. Astronauts have to relearn how to walk after long space missions. After months in microgravity, their sense of balance and coordination is disrupted. They undergo physical therapy to adapt back to Earth's gravity. The constellation Crux, or the Southern Cross, is the smallest of the 88 modern constellations. Despite its small size, it is one of the most distinctive constellations and is featured on the flags of several Southern Hemisphere countries. A brown dwarf is a failed star. These objects are more massive than planets, but not massive enough to sustain the nuclear fusion of hydrogen in their cores, which defines a star. The first person to walk in space was Alexei Leonov. The Soviet cosmonaut conducted a 12-minute spacewalk in 1965. His spacesuit inflated in the vacuum, making it very difficult for him to get back into the spacecraft. The Earth is traveling through space at about 2.1 million kilometers per h, or 1.3 million miles per hour. This speed is relative to the cosmic microwave background radiation and is a combination of Earth's rotation, its orbit around the Sun, and the galaxy's motion. The most powerful gamma-ray bursts release more energy in 10 seconds than the Sun will in its lifetime. These incredibly energetic explosions are the most luminous events known to occur in the universe and are thought to be associated with supernovae or merging neutron stars. The smell of the Moon is said to be like spent gunpowder. Apollo astronauts reported that lunar dust brought into the module had a sharp, acrid smell similar to spent gunpowder or fireplace ashes. The largest moon in the solar system is Jupiter's moon Ganymede. It is larger than the planet Mercury and is the only moon known to have its own internally generated magnetic field. The first woman to command the International Space Station was Peggy Whitson. She took command in 2008 during Expedition 16. She also holds the record for the most cumulative time spent in space by an American astronaut. The closest star system to us is Alpha Centauri, located about 4.37 light-years away. This system consists of three stars, Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B, and the closest star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. The space pen was privately developed to write in zero gravity. Unlike regular pens that rely on gravity, the Fisher space pen uses a pressurized ink cartridge. It was not, as myth suggests, a multi-million-dollar NASA project. The star Rho Cassiope is so unstable, it shed 10,000 Earths worth of material in one go. This yellow hypergiant star is very unstable, and in 2000, it had a massive outburst. The light from this star took about 3,400 years to reach us. Sprites are a form of upper atmospheric lightning. Sprites are large-scale electrical discharges that occur high above thunderstorm clouds, producing a variety of visual shapes like jellyfish or columns. The first American to orbit the Earth was John Glenn. In 1962, aboard the Friendship 7 capsule, he circled the globe 3 times. He later returned to space in 1998 at age 77. The geocorona is a halo of hydrogen gas around Earth that extends past the Moon. This tenuous outermost layer of Earth's atmosphere extends to a distance of about 630,000 kilometers or 390,000 miles. The Hand of God is a pulsar wind nebula. A NASA X-ray image of the nebula shows a structure that looks remarkably like a giant hand reaching through space, formed by particles from a spinning neutron star. The Apollo guidance computer had less processing power than a modern calculator. This revolutionary computer, which guided astronauts to the Moon, had a clock speed of about 2 megahertz and about 2 kilobytes of RAM. Mars once had a much thicker atmosphere and liquid water. Evidence suggests that billions of years ago, Mars was a warmer, wetter planet with rivers and lakes. It lost most of its atmosphere to space over time. Gravity assist is a technique to accelerate spacecraft without fuel. By flying close to a planet, a spacecraft can use the planet's gravity and orbital motion to slingshot itself to a higher speed. The first successful Venus probe was NASA's Mariner 2 in 1962. It flew by the planet and confirmed that Venus has a very hot surface and a dense carbon dioxide atmosphere. The Lagrange points are positions where the gravity of two large bodies balance. An object placed at one of these 5 points will remain stable relative to the two bodies. The James Webb Space Telescope is positioned at the UL-2 point. The oldest known star is nicknamed the Methuselah star. HD 140283 is estimated to be around 14.5 billion years old, which initially seemed older than the universe itself. Its age has since been refined to be consistent with the age of the universe. The temperature in space can vary by hundreds of degrees. In direct sunlight, an object can get hotter than 120 degrees Celsius, or 250 degrees Fahrenheit, while in shadow, it can plummet to below -150 degrees Celsius, or -238 degrees Fahrenheit. A light year is a measure of distance, not time. It is the distance that light travels in one Earth year, which is about 9.46 trillion kilometers or 5.88 trillion miles. The first African American in space was Guion Bluford. He flew aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger on mission STS-8 in 1983 as a mission specialist. The Hubble Deep Field image revealed thousands of galaxies in a tiny patch of sky. In 1995, the Hubble Space Telescope stared at a seemingly empty spot for 10 consecutive days, showing over 3,000 galaxies in an area the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length. The Kessler syndrome is a theoretical scenario of runaway space debris. It posits that if the density of objects in low Earth orbit becomes high enough, a single collision could set off a cascading chain reaction of more collisions. The planet Mercury is shrinking. As its iron core cools and solidifies, the planet contracts. This process has caused the crust to wrinkle, forming large cliffs on its surface. The auroras are caused by particles from the sun colliding with Earth's atmosphere. These spectacular light shows are created when charged particles from the solar wind are funneled by Earth's magnetic field into the upper atmosphere. There is a hexagonal storm at Saturn's North Pole. The sides of this bizarre, six-sided jet stream are each longer than the diameter of Earth. The storm has been raging for decades, if not centuries. The first crew to live on the ISS arrived in November 2000, Expedition 1, consisting of an American astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts, began the era of continuous human presence in space. The most volcanically active body in the solar system is a moon, not a planet. Jupiter's moon Io has hundreds of volcanoes, some of which spew sulfurous plumes hundreds of kilometers high. The first photograph of another planet was of Mars. In 1965, the Mariner 4 spacecraft flew by Mars and took 21 close-up pictures, revealing a cratered surface. A globular cluster is a dense spherical collection of very old stars. These clusters contain hundreds of thousands to millions of stars and are found orbiting in the halo of most galaxies, including our own. The termination shock is where the solar wind dramatically slows down. This is the boundary where the stream of charged particles from the sun is slowed by pressure from the interstellar medium. The first animals to orbit the moon and return safely were 2 tortoises. In 1968, the Soviet Sonde 5 mission sent 2 steppe tortoises, along with mealworms and plants, on a flight around the moon. The cosmic web is the large-scale structure of the universe. Galaxies are not distributed randomly, but are arranged in a vast web-like structure of filaments and clusters, separated by enormous voids. The last person to walk on the moon was Eugene Cernan in 1972. As commander of the Apollo 17 mission, he was the final astronaut to leave his footprints on the lunar surface. The Roche limit is the distance where a planet's gravity will tear a moon apart. If a moon or other object gets too close to a massive body, the tidal forces will be stronger than the object's own gravity, ripping it apart and often forming rings. The Arecibo message was a radio signal sent towards a distant star cluster. In 1974, the Arecibo radio telescope broadcast a pictorial message towards the star cluster M13 25,000 light-years away. It depicted basic information about humanity. Sunspots are cooler, darker areas on the sun's surface. These temporary phenomena are caused by concentrations of magnetic fields that inhibit heat flow. They are still extremely hot, but appear dark in contrast. The first controlled landing on another planet was on Venus. In 1970, the Soviet Venera 7 probe became the first spacecraft to soft land on another planet and transmit data from the surface. The Goldilocks zone is the habitable zone around a star. This is the orbital region where the temperature is just right for liquid water to exist on the surface of a planet. The Barnard star has the fastest proper motion of any star. It moves across our sky at a rate of 10.3 arcseconds per year. In about 150 years, it will have moved the apparent diameter of the full moon. The first wedding, involving someone in space, took place in 2003. Russian cosmonaut Yuri Malenchenko married Ekaterina Dmitrieva while he was aboard the ISS, and she was in Texas. He attended via video link. The gravitational constant, or G, is one of the hardest physical constants to measure. Despite being one of the first constants discovered, its value is still only known to about 4 significant digits due to the extreme weakness of gravity. The first Canadian in space was Marc Garneau. He flew aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger on mission STS-40-1G in 1984. Spaghettification is the term for being stretched apart by a black hole. As an object approaches a black hole, the intense gravitational pull on the closer part is much stronger than the pull on the farther part, stretching the object into a long, thin shape. The Tully-Fisher relation is a way to measure the distance to spiral galaxies. It's an empirical relationship between the brightness of a spiral galaxy and its rotational speed. By measuring the rotation, astronomers can determine its distance. Astronauts' sense of taste changes in space. In microgravity, fluids shift upwards, causing congestion similar to a head cold. This dulls the sense of smell and taste. So many astronauts prefer spicier foods. Triton, Neptune's largest moon, orbits the planet backwards. This retrograde orbit suggests that Triton is a captured object from the Kuiper belt. Its orbit is slowly decaying, and it will eventually be torn apart by Neptune's gravity. The heliosphere is a giant magnetic bubble created by the sun. This bubble, which contains the entire solar system, is formed by the solar wind and protects us from many high-energy galactic cosmic rays. The first space station was the Soviet Salyut 1. It was launched in 1971. Its first crew tragically died during their return to Earth due to a capsule depressurization. There may have been a fifth giant planet in our early solar system. Some models suggest that a fifth gas giant existed, but was ejected into interstellar space after a close encounter with Jupiter. The Chandrasekhar limit is the maximum mass of a stable white dwarf star. This limit is approximately 1.4 times the mass of the Sun. A white dwarf that exceeds this mass will collapse and explode as a supernova. The zodiacal light is a faint glow in the night sky caused by space dust. It's caused by sunlight scattering off dust particles in the plane of the solar system. It is best seen after sunset in spring and before sunrise in autumn. The overview effect is a cognitive shift reported by some astronauts. Seeing the Earth from space, a tiny fragile ball of life hanging in the void, can provoke a profound sense of awe and responsibility for our planet. The Parker Solar Probe is the fastest human-made object. On its mission to touch the Sun, the probe has reached speeds of over 635,000 kilometers per h, or 394,000 miles per hour relative to the Sun. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik 1, launched by the Soviet Union on October 4, 1957. The beach ball-sized satellite officially kicked off the space race. The Fermi paradox questions the lack of evidence for extraterrestrial life. Given the high probability of Earth-like planets, the paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, asks, if life is so likely, where is everybody? The space-to-space rescue mission was prepared for the Skylab 3 crew. During the mission in 1973, the command module developed a thruster problem. NASA prepared a rescue rocket, but the original crew returned safely. Earth's surface can produce a gamma-ray glow from thunderstorms. Thunderstorms can act as natural particle accelerators, producing terrestrial gamma-ray flashes, or TGFs, that are detectable by satellites. The Yarkovsky effect is a subtle force that can alter an asteroid's orbit. This force is caused by an asteroid absorbing sunlight and re-radiating it as heat, which creates a tiny amount of thrust that can change its path over millions of years. The last mission of the Space Shuttle program was STS-135 in 2011. The Space Shuttle Atlantis flew the final mission, delivering supplies to the ISS and marking the end of the 30-year shuttle era. The Horsehead Nebula is a dark cloud of dust shaped like a horse's head. Located in the constellation Orion, it is a cloud of cold, dark dust and gas silhouetted against a bright emission nebula behind it. A Lyman alpha blob is a huge concentration of hydrogen gas in the early universe. These enormous structures can be hundreds of thousands of light years across and are thought to be the precursors to modern galaxies. The first golf shot on the moon was by Alan Shepard, and during the Apollo 14 mission in 1971, Shepard attached a 6-iron head to a tool and hit 2 golf balls on the lunar surface. The barycenter is the center of mass between 2 orbiting bodies. For Jupiter and the Sun, this point is actually just outside the Sun's surface, meaning Jupiter doesn't technically orbit the center of the Sun. The Alcubierre drive is a theoretical concept for faster-than-light travel. It involves warping spacetime by contracting space in front of a spacecraft and expanding it behind. It remains purely speculative. The first woman to walk in space was Svetlana Savitskaya. The Soviet cosmonaut performed a spacewalk in 1984 during her second mission to the Salyut 7 space station. The Great Void is another name for the Bodice Void. Discovered in 1981, this vast, nearly empty region of space was a surprise to astronomers who expected a more uniform distribution of galaxies. The first pizza delivered to space was in 2001. Pizza Hut paid the Russian Space Agency a reported $1 million to deliver a 6-inch salami pizza to cosmonaut Yuri Usachov on the ISS. The Drake equation is an argument to estimate the number of alien civilizations. It is a probabilistic formula that considers factors like the rate of star formation and the fraction of planets that could develop life to estimate the number of active communicative civilizations in the Milky Way. The Doppler effect is used to detect exoplanets. As a planet orbits a star, it causes the star to wobble. This can be detected as a slight shift in the star's light spectrum, revealing the planet's presence. Tardigrades are microscopic animals that can survive in the vacuum of space. These water bears were exposed to the vacuum and radiation of space on a 2007 mission, and many survived, proving their extreme resilience. The Pioneer anomaly was a long-standing mystery of 2 spacecraft slowing down. The Pioneer 10 and 11 probes were slowing down more than expected. The mystery was eventually solved and attributed to the subtle force of thermal radiation from the spacecraft. The first all-female spacewalk took place in 2019. NASA astronauts Christina Koch and Jessica Meir conducted the historic spacewalk outside the International Space Station to replace a faulty power controller. The Sunyaev-Zeldovich effect is a way to find galaxy clusters. When the cosmic microwave background passes through the hot gas in a galaxy cluster, it gets an energy boost. Telescopes can detect this distortion to map these massive structures. The axis of evil is an anomaly in the cosmic microwave background. Observations showed an unexpected alignment in the temperature fluctuations of the early universe, which challenges standard cosmological models. The NLEMMA is the figure-8 pattern the sun makes in the sky over a year. If you take a picture of the sun from the same spot at the same time of day throughout the year, the combined image will show this pattern. The first commercial filmed in space was for an Israeli milk company, Doptin. In 1997, a Tenuva milk commercial was filmed aboard the Russian Mir space station, featuring cosmonaut Vasily Tsibliev. A magnetar is a neutron star with an incredibly powerful magnetic field. The magnetic field of a magnetar is 1,000 trillion times stronger than Earth's. A quake on 1 in 2004 released more energy in 1/10 of a second than the sun has in 100,000 years. Olber's paradox asks why the night sky is dark. If the universe were infinite and static, every line of sight should end on a star, and the night sky would be bright. The paradox is resolved by the finite age and expansion of the universe. Tabby's star shows unusual and extreme dimming events. The star's light has been observed to dip by as much as 22%, far more than a transiting planet could cause. The leading explanation is a massive, orbiting cloud of dust. The local bubble is a giant, low-density cavity in the interstellar medium in which our sun currently travels. This peanut-shaped void is about 300 light-years across and is thought to have been carved out by a series of supernova explosions that occurred 10 to 20 million years ago. All the nearby stars and stellar nurseries sit on the surface of this bubble. The Lyrid meteor shower is one of the oldest known, observed for at least 2,700 years. This annual celestial event occurs when the Earth passes through the trail of dust left by comet Cis 1861 G1, or Thatcher. The first recorded sighting was by Chinese astronomers in 687 BC, who described it as stars falling like rain. Astronauts on the ISS experience cosmic flashes even with their eyes closed. These flashes are caused by high-energy cosmic rays passing through the astronaut's retina or optic nerve, a strange visual phenomenon unique to the space environment. This serves as a constant reminder of the intense radiation beyond Earth's protective magnetosphere. Gliese 436b is an exoplanet known as the burning ice planet. This Neptune-sized planet orbits incredibly close to its star, resulting in surface temperatures of around 439 degrees Celsius or 822 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite the extreme heat, immense pressure from the planet's gravity keeps the water on its surface in a solid, exotic state called Ice X. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched with a flawed mirror. Upon its deployment in 1990, the main mirror was found to have a spherical aberration of just 1/50th the thickness of a human hair, which caused blurry images. A corrective optics package, COSTER, was installed by astronauts during a servicing mission in 1993, completely fixing the problem. The turn left at Orion command was a real navigational instruction for the Apollo 8 crew. When the astronauts were returning from the first ever orbit of the moon, they temporarily lost their navigational lock on Earth. Mission Control advised them to manually find the constellation Orion to reorient their spacecraft for the journey home. The planet Jupiter has Trojan asteroids that share its orbit around the Sun. These two large groups of asteroids are trapped in Jupiter's L4 and L5 Lagrange points, one group leading the planet and one group trailing it. NASA's Lucy mission, launched in 2021, is the first to explore these primitive remnants from the solar system's formation. The Sun's twin, HD1 86302, is a star almost identical to our own and may host life. Located about 184 light-years away, this star has the same size, temperature, luminosity, and chemical composition as our Sun. Scientists believe it was born from the same stellar nursery, making its planets prime candidates in the search for Earth-like worlds. The first image transmitted from Mars showed the footpad of the lander. When NASA's Viking 1 sent its first picture from the Martian surface in 1976, the initial scan was of its own foot to ensure it had landed on stable ground. This engineering check preceded the now famous panoramic images of the Martian landscape. The Eye of Sauron is the nickname for the Helix Nebula. This planetary nebula, one of the closest to Earth, bears a striking resemblance to the malevolent Eye from The Lord of the Rings. The Eye is actually a dying star, similar to our Sun, shedding its outer layers into space. The New Horizons spacecraft carries some of the ashes of Pluto's discoverer, Clyde Tombaugh. The small aluminum capsule containing the ashes is inscribed with a tribute to the American astronomer. This makes him the first human to have their remains travel beyond the orbit of the planets. The Little Green Men's Signal, or LGM-1, was the first discovery of a pulsar. In 1967, astronomer Jocelyn Bell Burnell detected a perfectly regular radio pulse and half-jokingly nicknamed it LGM-1 for its artificial seeming regularity. It was soon identified as the natural emission from a rapidly spinning neutron star, a groundbreaking discovery. Saturn's moon Mimas has a massive crater that makes it look like the Death Star. The Herschel crater is 130 kilometers or 81 miles across, covering nearly a third of the moon's diameter, with a central peak almost as tall as Mount Everest. The impact that created it was so powerful, it nearly shattered the small moon entirely. The Earth's continents are expected to merge into a supercontinent called Amatia in 200 million years. This future landmass is predicted to form when the Americas and Asia drift northward to merge, closing off the Arctic Ocean. This cycle of supercontinent formation and breakup has happened several times over Earth's history. The Space Shuttle Enterprise never flew in space. Originally intended for orbital missions, It was built as a test vehicle for atmospheric glide tests, launched from the back of a modified Boeing 747. A letter-writing campaign by Star Trek fans successfully convinced the White House to name it Enterprise instead of the planned Constitution. There is a type of supernova, called a luminous red nova, caused by merging stars. Unlike traditional supernovae, from collapsing massive stars, these events occur when two stars in a closed binary system spiral into each other and merge violently. The 2008 event, known as V1309 Scorpiae, was the first time astronomers witnessed a star just before it underwent this type of merger. The Earth has a faint third Van Allen radiation belt that comes and goes. In 2013, NASA's Van Allen probes discovered this temporary ring of high-energy particles, which can last for several weeks before being dissipated by solar weather. Its transient nature explains why it had gone undetected for over 50 years. The most distant known object in our solar system is a dwarf planet nicknamed Far Far Out. Officially designated 2018 AG 37, it was about 132 astronomical units or AU from the Sun when discovered, which is 132 times the distance from Earth to the Sun. Its extremely elongated orbit will take it out to 175 AU and can last up to 1,000 years. The first American to eat in space was John Glenn, who found the experience unpleasant. During his 1962 orbit, he squeezed applesauce from a tube and consumed malt tablets to test the process of eating in zero gravity. He reported that the mechanics of eating were easy, but that the food itself was not very appealing. The Sun will one day be surrounded by a beautiful planetary nebula. When the Sun runs out of fuel in about 5 billion years, its outer layers will drift away and be ionized by the hot core, forming a glowing shell of gas. Many of the most stunning images from Hubble are of other stars in this final phase of their life cycle. The Bok globule is a dark, dense cocoon of gas and dust where new stars are born. These small, isolated clouds are so opaque that they block out all visible light from behind them, appearing as inky black patches against starry backdrops. Within these cosmic nurseries, gravitational collapse eventually leads to the formation of protostars. A standard candle is an astronomical object with a known brightness used to measure cosmic distances. Because their intrinsic luminosity is known, astronomers can compare it to their apparent brightness as seen from Earth to calculate their distance. Type supernovae are one of the most reliable types of standard candles for measuring the vast distances between galaxies. The red shift of a galaxy is a measure of how fast it is moving away from us. As the universe expands, light from distant galaxies gets stretched to longer, redder wavelengths, a phenomenon similar to the Doppler effect for sound. By measuring a galaxy's redshift, astronomers can determine its recession speed and its distance from Earth. The first woman to fly on two different types of spacecraft was Svetlana Savitskaya. The Soviet cosmonaut first flew on a Soyuz T-7 in 1982, and then on a Soyuz T-12 in 1984, during which she also became the first woman to perform a spacewalk. Her historic spacewalk lasted for 3 hours and 35 minutes outside the Salyut 7 space station. The largest known diamond in the universe is a star named BPM 37093, nicknamed Lucy. It is a crystallized white dwarf star, essentially a planet-sized diamond of compressed carbon, located about 50 light-years away. This cosmic gem has a mass of about 1.1 times that of our Sun, and is estimated to be 10 billion trillion carats. The Great Silence is another term for the Fermi paradox. It refers to the puzzling absence of any detectable signals or evidence from advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. Despite the high probability that they exist, this silence has led to numerous hypotheses, from the idea that we are truly alone to the possibility that advanced civilizations are intentionally hiding. The first astronomy-themed computer game was Space Travel, developed in 1969. Created by Ken Thompson, it simulated travel through the solar system and was a precursor to the famous game Asteroids. The development of this game was also instrumental in the creation of the Unix operating system. Saturn's moon Iapetus is a two-toned world with one bright and one dark hemisphere. Its leading hemisphere is coated in a dark reddish material, while its trailing hemisphere is bright and icy. This stark contrast is likely caused by Iapetus sweeping up dark dust knocked off of Saturn's outer moon Phoebe as it orbits. The Tolman-Oppenheimer-Volkoff limit is the maximum mass for a non-rotating neutron star. If a stellar core collapse results in an object exceeding this limit, roughly 2 to 3 solar masses, nothing can stop its complete gravitational collapse. The object is then expected to continue collapsing to form a black hole. The first space mail was a postcard carried aboard the Columbia shuttle in 1982. The United States Postal Service authorized 261,900 stamped envelopes to be flown on the shuttle's fourth mission. This was done primarily to demonstrate the potential for future commercial transport aboard the space shuttle. The interplanetary superhighway is a network of low-energy pathways through the solar system. These routes, defined by the gravitational interactions between planets and moons, allow spacecraft to travel with very high fuel efficiency. Japan's Hiten spacecraft was the first to successfully utilize this concept to reach the moon. The constellation Menset is named after a mountain. It was named by French astronomer Nicolas Louis de Lacaille in the 18th century after Table Mountain in South Africa, from where he made many of his observations. It is the only constellation named after a terrestrial feature and is notable for containing part of the Large Magellanic Cloud. The Earth is hit by about 100 tons of micrometeoroids every day. Most of this material is extremely small, ranging from the size of a dust particle to a grain of sand, and burns up harmlessly in the atmosphere. This constant cosmic dust influx has been happening throughout Earth's history. The James Webb Space Telescope's sunshield is the size of a tennis court. The 5-layer, kite-shaped shield is crucial for keeping the telescope's sensitive infrared instruments extremely cold at about -233 degrees Celsius or -388 degrees Fahrenheit. Each layer is thinner than a human hair and is made of a material called kapton. The Gegenschein is a faint, oval-shaped glow in the night sky directly opposite the sun. This optical phenomenon is caused by sunlight backscattering off interplanetary dust particles in the solar system. It is so faint that it can only be seen in very dark, clear skies, away from all light pollution. The Blue Ring Nebula is a cosmic mystery that was solved after 16 years of study. It appears as a unique ultraviolet ring around a central star and is now understood to be the remnant of a merger between two stars. We are viewing the cone-shaped debris cloud from the collision nearly head-on, creating the ring-like illusion. The first human-made object to escape the solar system's gravity was Pioneer 10. Launched in 1972, it was the first spacecraft to traverse the asteroid belt and make direct observations of Jupiter. It officially crossed the orbit of Pluto in 1983, heading out into interstellar space. A quasar is an extremely bright galactic core powered by a supermassive black hole. These objects are among the most luminous, powerful, and energetic objects known in the universe, emitting up to 1,000 times the energy output of the entire Milky Way. They are so bright, they can be seen from billions of light years away. The green flash is an optical phenomenon that can occur shortly after sunset or before sunrise. When conditions are right, a distinct green spot is briefly visible above the upper rim of the sun's disk. It is caused by the refraction of sunlight in the atmosphere, which separates the light into different colors like a prism. The first meal cooked in space was corned beef hash on Gemini 3 in 1965. Astronaut John Young smuggled a corned beef sandwich on board, but the official first meal cooked was a rehydrated packet of corned beef hash. NASA was not pleased about the sandwich, as crumbs could have floated into sensitive equipment. The Schwarzschild radius is the radius of the event horizon of a non-rotating black hole. For any given mass, if it is compressed to a size smaller than its Schwarzschild radius, it will inevitably collapse into a black hole. For Earth, this radius is only about 9 millimeters, or the size of a sugar cube. The frost line in a protoplanetary disk is the boundary beyond which volatile compounds can freeze. Inside this line, closer to the star, rocky planets like Earth and Mars form. Outside the frost line, where it is colder, gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn can form by accreting ice and gas. The last words spoken on the moon were, "Okay, Jack. Let's get this limo on the road." These were said by Apollo 17 Commander Eugene Cernan to his pilot Harrison Jack Schmitt as they prepared the lunar module for takeoff. This marked the end of the Apollo program's lunar explorations. The first satellite, launched by the United Kingdom, was Prospero in 1971. It was launched on a British-made rocket called Black Arrow, making the UK the sixth nation to successfully launch its own satellite. The satellite is still in orbit and is not expected to decay for another 100 years. A blazar is a type of quasar where the relativistic jet is pointed directly at Earth. This alignment causes the blazar's light to be intensely beamed and amplified. making it appear extremely bright and variable. It gives astronomers a direct view down the barrel of a galaxy's central engine. The air glow is a faint emission of light by a planet's atmosphere. On Earth, this chemiluminescence makes our night sky not completely dark, even without moonlight or starlight. It is caused by various processes in the upper atmosphere, such as the recombination of ions that were photoionized by the sun during the day. The Great Walls of Galaxies, or the CFA-2 Great Wall, was the largest known structure in the universe until the 1990s. This massive galactic filament is over 500 million light-years long, 300 million light-years wide, but only 15 million light-years thick. Its discovery in 1989 challenged existing models of the large-scale structure of the universe. The Kármán line is the internationally recognized boundary of space, located at an altitude of 100 kilometers or 62 miles above sea level. It is the point where the atmosphere becomes too thin to support aeronautical flight. Any vehicle traveling above this line is generally considered to be in outer space. The first dog to orbit the Earth and return safely was Strilka, along with her companion Belka. Strilka orbited the Earth 18 times aboard Sputnik 5 in 1960. One of Strilka's puppies was later given as a gift to President John F. Kennedy's daughter, Caroline. The star Proxima Centauri has a superflare so powerful it would have been visible to the naked eye. In 2019, the closest star to our Sun unleashed a flare that was 100 times more powerful than any recorded from our own Sun. Such flares likely sterilize the surface of its orbiting planets, diminishing their chances of hosting life. The magnetospheres of Ganymede makes it a unique moon. Jupiter's largest moon is the only one in the solar system known to have its own substantial magnetic field, which carves out a mini magnetosphere within Jupiter's larger one. This suggests it has a liquid iron core, much like a terrestrial planet. The Poynting-Robertson effect causes space dust to spiral into the Sun. This effect is caused by the pressure and momentum of solar radiation, which acts like a headwind on small dust particles orbiting the Sun. Over long periods, this force robs the particles of their orbital energy, causing them to slowly fall inward. The Cat's Eye Nebula is one of the most structurally complex nebulae ever seen. Hubble images reveal intricate structures, including jets, knots, and arc-like features, all part of the ejected shell of a dying star. Its complexity suggests the dying star may be part of a binary system. The light echo phenomenon allows astronomers to see supernovae in 3D. When a star explodes, its light can reflect off surrounding dust clouds, creating echoes that arrive at Earth later than the direct light. By studying these echoes, astronomers can reconstruct the three-dimensional structure of the space around the supernova. The local groups is the cluster of galaxies that includes the Milky Way. It contains over 80 galaxies, most of which are small dwarf galaxies gravitationally bound to the three largest members: the Andromeda Galaxy, the Milky Way, and the Triangulum Galaxy. The entire group spans about 10 million light-years. The solar wind is a stream of charged particles released from the Sun's corona. This plasma flows outwards at speeds of up to 900 kilometers per second, shaping the magnetospheres of planets and causing phenomena like auroras. It also defines the vast bubble of the heliosphere around our solar system. The Antikythera mechanisms is an ancient analog computer designed to predict astronomical positions. Discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece, this complex clockwork device dates back to the 2nd century BC. It was used to track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, and to predict eclipses. The Higgs objects is a rare and mysterious type of ring galaxy. It consists of a perfect ring of young, hot blue stars surrounding an older yellow nucleus, with almost nothing visible in the gap between them. But how this unusual structure formed is still a subject of debate among astronomers. The Thaport clouds is a theoretical sphere of icy bodies surrounding the solar system. It is thought to be the source of long-period comets and extends out to nearly a light-year from the Sun, marking the edge of the Sun's gravitational influence. No object has ever been directly observed in the Oort cloud itself. The Starshot project aims to send tiny probes to Alpha Centauri. This breakthrough Starshot initiative, backed by Yuri Milner and Stephen Hawking, plans to use a powerful ground-based laser to propel thousands of gram-sized nanocraft to 20% the speed of light. They could reach the nearest star system in about 20 years. The Penrose process is a theoretical way to extract energy from a rotating black hole. It involves dropping an object into the black hole's ergosphere. the region just outside the event horizon, and having it split in two. One piece falls into the black hole, while the other escapes with more energy than the original object had. The cosmic lens effect, or gravitational lensing, was first confirmed in 1919. During a solar eclipse, astronomer Arthur Eddington observed that starlight passing close to the sun was bent, just as predicted by Einstein's theory of general relativity. This proved that gravity can warp the fabric of space-time. The first beer brewed for space was created by an Australian brewery. Vostok Space Beer was specially formulated with reduced carbonation to be palatable in zero gravity, where the sense of taste is dulled. The company planned to test their brew on a commercial spaceflight. The Rosette Nebula contains enough gas and dust to make 10,000 sun-like stars. This large, circular HT region is an active stellar nursery, with a central cluster of massive young stars whose radiation ionizes the surrounding gas, causing it to glow. It is located in the Monoceros region of the Milky Way. The Churyumov-Gerasimenko comet has a rubber ducky shape. The European Space Agency's Rosetta mission revealed that the comet is a contact binary formed from two separate, smaller objects that gently collided and stuck together. This gave it a distinct two-lobed appearance. The solar neutrino problem was a major discrepancy in astrophysics that lasted for decades. Experiments consistently detected only about 1/3 of the neutrinos predicted by models of the sun's interior. The puzzle was solved by the discovery that neutrinos can change flavor or type as they travel from the sun to the Earth. The first woman to serve as NASA's chief astronaut was Peggy Whitson. Appointed in 2009, she was responsible for managing the operations, safety, and well-being of the entire NASA astronaut corps. She is also one of the most experienced astronauts in history, holding multiple spaceflight records. The Laniakea supercluster is the galactic supercluster that is home to the Milky Way. Its name means immense heaven in Hawaiian, and it contains roughly 100,000 galaxies stretching over 520 million light-years. The Great Attractor is a central gravitational point within this massive structure. The first flight of a powered aircraft on another planet occurred in 2021. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter, carried to Mars by the Perseverance rover, successfully performed the first powered, controlled flight on another world. This technology demonstration paved the way for future aerial exploration of Mars. The Titus-Bode law is a now discredited hypothesis about the spacing of planets. This empirical formula, popular in the 18th century, correctly predicted the orbits of Ceres and Uranus, but failed for Neptune and Pluto. It is now considered a mathematical coincidence rather than a physical law. The Hubble constant describes the rate at which the universe is expanding. However, different methods of measuring this constant have yielded slightly different results, creating a Hubble tension in cosmology. This discrepancy may point to new physics beyond our current understanding of the universe. The Hennies-Worper is a mysterious, ghost-like astronomical object. Discovered by a Dutch schoolteacher as part of a citizen science project, this giant cloud of glowing gas is the light echo of a quasar from a nearby galaxy that has since faded. It is the first of a new class of objects now known as quasar ionization echoes. The first all-private crew of astronauts reached the ISS in 2022. The Axiom Mission 1, or AX-1, was the first mission to the International Space Station to be entirely crewed and operated by private citizens. This flight heralded a new era of commercial human spaceflight in low Earth orbit. A blue straggler is a star in a cluster that appears younger than its neighbors. These stars are hotter and bluer than other stars in the cluster that should have already evolved off the main sequence. It is thought they are formed either from the collision of two older stars or by siphoning mass from a binary companion. The galactic habitable zones is the region of a galaxy most likely to support life. This ring-shaped area is far enough from the violent galactic center to avoid intense radiation, but close enough to have a concentration of heavy elements needed for planet formation. The solar system is located comfortably within the Milky Way's galactic habitable zone. The space races unofficially ended with the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975. This mission involved the joint docking in orbit of an American Apollo capsule and a Soviet Soyuz capsule, with the astronauts and cosmonauts shaking hands through the hatch. It symbolized a new era of cooperation and a de-escalation of the Cold War rivalry in space. The interstellar medium is not empty but is filled with gas, dust, and cosmic rays. This material, found in the vast spaces between star systems in a galaxy, is the raw material from which new stars and planets are formed. Although extremely tenuous, it plays a crucial role in galactic evolution. The spacecraft's computer was first reprogrammed from Earth during the Apollo 14 mission. A faulty switch threatened to abort the lunar landing, but engineers at MIT frantically wrote a software patch to bypass the problem. The new code was read to the astronauts, who manually entered it into the Apollo guidance computer, saving the mission. The Great Observatories program is a series of 4 large NASA space telescopes. Each was designed to view the universe in a different wavelength of light: the Hubble or visible, the Compton or gamma ray, the Chandra or X-ray, and the Spitzer or infrared. Together, they have provided a revolutionary multi-wavelength view of the cosmos. Coronium was a hypothetical element once thought to exist in the sun's corona. In the 19th century, a mysterious green spectral line was observed in the corona that didn't correspond to any known element, leading to the proposal of coronium. It was later discovered that this line was actually from highly ionized iron, possible only in the corona's extreme temperatures. The first video game played in space was Tetris. In 1993, Russian cosmonaut Alexander Serebrov took his Nintendo Game Boy with him to the Mir space station. He spent his downtime playing Tetris, making it the first video game to be officially played in orbit. The twin paradox is a thought experiment in special relativity. It involves identical twins, one of whom makes a journey into space in a high-speed rocket and returns home to find that the twin who remained on Earth has aged more. This is due to the phenomenon of time dilation, where time passes slower for a moving observer. A Thorne-Tycho object is a theoretical type of hybrid star. This bizarre object would consist of a neutron star that has been swallowed by a red giant or supergiant star, creating a stable star with a superdense core. While none have been definitively confirmed, a few candidates have been identified. A Thorne-Tycho object is a theoretical type of hybrid star. This bizarre object would consist of a neutron star that has been swallowed by a red giant or supergiant star, creating a stable star with a superdense core. While none have been definitively confirmed, a few candidates have been identified. The first plant grown on the moon was a cotton seed. In 2019, China's Chang'e 4 lander, the first to land on the far side of the moon, carried a mini biosphere experiment. A cottonseed inside the sealed container successfully sprouted, becoming the first plant to grow on another world, though it died shortly after. The Kuiper Belt is a donut-shaped ring of icy objects beyond the orbit of Neptune. It is home to dwarf planets like Pluto, Eris, and Makemake, as well as trillions of comets and other small bodies. This region is a vast, frozen remnant of the solar system's formation. The cosmological constant was an idea Albert Einstein called his biggest blunder. He initially introduced it into his equations of general relativity to allow for a static universe, which was the prevailing view at the time. After the discovery of the expanding universe, he retracted it, but it has made a comeback as a possible explanation for dark energy. The first satellite to be intentionally destroyed by a missile was Solwind P-78-1. In 1985, the United States tested an anti-satellite or ASAT missile by launching it from an F-15 fighter jet to destroy a defunct solar research satellite. The test was successful, but created thousands of pieces of space debris. The WOW signal may have been caused by a hydrogen cloud from a passing comet. While the signal's origin remains unconfirmed, a 2017 study proposed that the strong, narrowband signal detected in 1977 could have been produced by the hydrogen cloud accompanying a comet. This terrestrial explanation would solve one of astronomy's most enduring mysteries. The ISS's water recycling system purifies urine into drinking water. The water recovery system is so efficient that it can recover about 93% of the water from sources like crew members' urine and sweat. Astronauts often joke that today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee. The Boots void is so empty that if the Milky Way were at its center, we wouldn't have known other galaxies existed until the 1960s. This colossal, nearly spherical region of space is almost 330 million light-years in diameter and contains only about 60 galaxies. The sheer scale of its emptiness continues to challenge our models of cosmic structure formation. The planet Mars is losing its water faster than previously thought. Observations from the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter have shown that water vapor is accumulating in large quantities at high altitudes, where it is more easily broken down by sunlight and lost to space. This process is accelerated during Martian dust storms. A hypervelocity star is a star ejected from its galaxy at incredibly high speeds. These stars are thought to be launched by interactions with the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, reaching speeds of millions of miles per hour. They are destined to wander alone in the darkness of intergalactic space. The first space-to-ground musical duet featured astronaut Cady Coleman and Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. In 2011, Coleman played a flute aboard the ISS, while Anderson played his part on Earth, performing a portion of Boré. The event was organized to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's historic flight. The first fatal accident during a space mission was the Soyuz 1 disaster in 1967. Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was killed when the parachute system on his re-entry capsule failed, causing it to crash into the ground at high speed. The mission had been plagued by technical problems from the start. Tabby's star is so unusual that some have speculated its dimming is caused by an alien megastructure. Officially KIC 8462852, the star exhibits large irregular dips in brightness that are difficult to explain with natural phenomena like planets or dust clouds. While the leading scientific theory now points to dust, the alien hypothesis sparked immense public interest. The Great Unconformity is a missing billion years of rock record found worldwide, possibly caused by a cosmic event. This geological gap in sedimentary layers coincides with the period when complex life began to emerge, leading some scientists to theorize that the erosion was triggered by the extreme ice age of Snowball Earth. A more recent theory suggests this erosion may have been caused by the bombardment of the inner solar system during the formation of the gas giants. The first art museum on the Moon is a tiny ceramic tile called the Moon Museum. This small wafer, allegedly smuggled aboard the Apollo 12 lunar lander, contains miniature artworks from 6 prominent artists of the 1960s, including Andy Warhol. Its existence remains an unconfirmed but charming legend of the Apollo era. The most powerful rocket ever built was Saturn V. This super heavy lift vehicle, used by NASA for the Apollo and Skylab programs, stood 111 meters or 363 feet tall, and remains the only launch vehicle to have carried humans beyond low Earth orbit. Its first stage engines were so powerful, they registered on seismometers hundreds of miles away. The oldest known drawing of a total solar eclipse is a 50000-year-old petroglyph in Ireland. The Lough Crew Cairn L is a Neolithic tomb decorated with concentric circles and spiral patterns. One particular carving is believed to represent the solar eclipse that occurred on November 30th, 3340 BC. It rains diamonds on Jupiter and Saturn. Atmospheric data for these gas giants suggests that lightning storms turn methane into soot or carbon, which falls and hardens under immense pressure into graphite and then into diamonds. These diamond hailstones could be up to a centimeter in diameter before they eventually melt into a sea of liquid carbon deeper in the planet's cores. Venus rotates backwards compared to most other planets. This phenomenon, known as retrograde rotation, means that on Venus, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. The reason for its unusual spin may be due to a massive collision in its distant past. A day on Venus is longer than its year. Venus takes about 243 Earth days to complete one rotation on its axis, but it only takes about 225 Earth days to orbit the Sun, making its sidereal day longer than its year. The largest known volcano in the solar system is on Mars. Olympus Mons is a shield volcano that is about 25 kilometers or 16 miles high, making it nearly 3 times the height of Mount Everest. Its base would cover most of the state of Arizona. There is a cosmic latte color for the universe. Astronomers averaged the light from over 200,000 galaxies and determined the average color of the universe is a beigeish white, which they dubbed cosmic latte. Space is not a complete vacuum. While it's emptier than any vacuum we can create on Earth, space contains a low density of particles, such as plasma of hydrogen and helium, as well as electromagnetic radiation and magnetic fields. The Sun makes up 99.86% of the solar system's mass. Everything else in our solar system, all the planets, moons, asteroids, and comets, constitutes just the remaining 0.14%. Neutron stars are so dense that a teaspoonful would weigh about 6 billion tons. These are the collapsed cores of massive supergiant stars, where gravitational pressure is so intense it crushes protons and electrons together to form neutrons. You can't cry in space the same way you do on Earth. Without gravity to pull them down, tears don't fall. Instead, they form a liquid blob around the astronaut's eye, which can sting and be irritating. The footprints on the moon will likely be there for 100 million years. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there is no wind or water to erode or wash away the Apollo astronauts' footprints. They will only be erased by the slow process of micrometeorite impacts. The Milky Way galaxy is on a collision course with the Andromeda galaxy. Don't worry, the collision is predicted to happen in about 4.5 billion years. The result will be a new giant elliptical galaxy, nicknamed Milkomeda. There is a giant cloud of alcohol in space. The Sagittarius B2 cloud, near the center of our galaxy, contains billions of liters of vinyl alcohol. Unfortunately, it's undrinkable as it's mixed with other chemicals like ethyl formate. The hottest planet in our solar system is Venus. Even though Mercury is closer to the Sun, Venus's thick atmosphere traps heat in a runaway greenhouse effect, causing surface temperatures of around 465 degrees Celsius or 869 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Uranus is tilted on its side. The planet has an axial tilt of 98 degrees, which means it essentially orbits the Sun on its side. This results in very long seasons, with each pole getting 42 years of continuous sunlight, followed by 42 years of darkness. If two pieces of the same type of metal touch in space, they will permanently bond. This process is called cold welding. On Earth, a layer of oxidation prevents this. But in the vacuum of space, the atoms of the two pieces have no way of knowing they are separate and joined together. The Sun's atmosphere is much hotter than its surface. The Sun's visible surface is about 5,500 degrees Celsius or 9,940 degrees Fahrenheit, but its outer atmosphere, the corona, can reach temperatures of over 2 million degrees Celsius. The reason for this coronal heating problem is still a topic of research. The largest known star would engulf Saturn's orbit. Zooey Scuti, a hypergiant star, has a radius about 1,700 times larger than our Sun's. If it were placed in the center of our solar system, its surface would extend out past the orbit of Jupiter. There's a planet believed to be made of diamond, an exoplanet named 55 Concreti, about 40 light-years away, is thought to be composed largely of carbon in a diamond form. It's twice the size of Earth and 8 times its mass. Saturn would float in water. Saturn is the least dense planet in our solar system. Its average density is less than that of water, so if you could find a bathtub big enough, the gas giant would float. The quietest place on Earth is still louder than space. Anechoic chambers on Earth can absorb over 99.99% of sound, but the near vacuum of space has so few particles that sound waves cannot propagate at all, making it truly silent. A year on Mercury is only 88 Earth days long. Being the closest planet to the Sun, Mercury zips around our star much faster than any other planet. The Moon is drifting away from Earth. The Moon is moving away from our planet at a rate of about 3.8 centimeters or 1.5 inches per year due to the tidal interaction between the Earth and the Moon. The Great Red Spot on Jupiter is a storm larger than Earth. This giant anticyclonic storm has been raging for at least 190 years, and at its widest is more than twice the diameter of our planet. It has, however, been shrinking for the last century. There is water ice on the poles of Mercury. Despite being very close to the Sun, the poles of Mercury have permanently shadowed craters where temperatures are low enough for water ice to exist. The Voyager 1 spacecraft is the most distant human-made object. Launched in 1977, it entered interstellar space in 2012 and continues to send back data from over 24 billion kilometers or 15 billion miles away. The universe has no center. According to the Big Bang Theory, the universe is expanding everywhere at once. There isn't a central point from which everything is moving away. Instead, the fabric of space-time itself is stretching. A galactic year is the time it takes our solar system to orbit the Milky Way's center. This journey takes about 230 million Earth years to complete. The last time Earth was in its current position, dinosaurs were just beginning to appear.